Welcome to the CyberPeace Podcast. Today we have with us Rear Admiral Mohit Gupta. He was appointed as the first DG of Defense Cyber Agency of Integrated Defense Staff of India in 2019. The Defense Cyber Agency has been playing a prominent role in framing a long-term policy to ensure the security of military networks, besides devising a cyber warfare doctrine for India. Pleasure to have you, sir. So, tell me more about yourself.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank the CyberPeace Foundation for inviting me for this podcast, and I'm honored that this is the Maiden Port podcast which I am part of. As you know that I'm a military officer, having worked in the Indian Navy for 38 years before my retirement, which happened recently. I have worked in the executive branch of the submarine, and I have been a specialist in communications and electronic warfare. And I have spent a lot of my time on ships and submarines, for which I was trained for. And during my last appointment, which was of 5 years, I got the chance to raise the Defense Cyber Agency from scratch as its first Director General. And of course, now I'm here with you today.
All right. So, to start off with, we want to know more about, the life in submarines. And so, the first question to you. So, how is the life of submariners different from other branches in Indian Navy, and what are some of the most interesting experiences or stories that submariners have shared about their time underwater?
Okay, so life in a submarine compared to other branches of the Navy, I would say it's a bit tougher because you are literally staying in a tube which is sealed. You're staying in an artificial atmosphere when you're dived. Sometimes these sorties are for a prolonged duration. So you are not in touch, so to say, with the world. You are completely underwater. There is a massive shortage of space. When I started my career in the submarines, we used to have the old Foxtrot class submarines, which were acquired from the erstwhile Soviet Union. The ergonomics of those submarines were not very good. And there weren't enough bunks available for the crew. And we used to follow a concept called hot bunking. That means the people who were on watch, they were sitting on the operator chairs or they were working at their workplaces. And there used to be limited number of bunks. So if you got off watch, you shared beds with whichever bunk you found which was empty, you just use that. Life was tough because the level of automation in those submarines was very less. They were highly maintenance intensive. And they were, when I joined the submarine arm, they were close to the end of their operational life. So we used to have interesting times on board in the sense that it was always a challenge keeping those submarines going. Thereafter, I got lucky, and we had recently then acquired the Shishumar class submarines, or the SSKs as we call it, from Germany. And I was selected to migrate to those class of submarines. And I remember my first time when I went down that submarine, it was life was as if I had transitioned from a bullock cart to a Ferrari. I could not believe that the air conditioning was fantastic. I had a bunk to myself, which I didn't have to share with anyone. And I was sleeping on starched bed sheets in a very nice atmosphere. And in the earlier submarines, there was a lot of shortage of water. We used to brush our teeth with seawater, okay, and everything else was done with seawater. But because of the high level of automation in the newer class of submarines, and also lesser number of crew, there was enough water. So you could have the luxury of taking baths at 3-4 days interval, which in the earlier submarines, there used to be periods when for 20 days you didn't take a bath. So that was the change which happened. And as far as the stories go, I must tell you about how we used to conserve water. We were the pioneers in conservation of water. If you wanted to brush your teeth with fresh water, if you have these small air conditioners all over the submarine. So with every condensation, you get a lot of condensed water, which generally flows into the bilges of the submarines. So everyone had a bottle, and which was connected to that condenser. So you put your bottle there, and in the morning, hopefully it was full, and you had one bottle of water where at least you could brush your teeth with fresh water. So that was one. Secondly, I remember that being a tall person, I had a bunk which was inclined at almost 30 degrees, and my feet used to be in the corridor. And since it was an old submarine and life used to be interesting, I used to be sleeping under some machinery and pipelines, and there used to be a constant drip of hydraulic oil and grease mixed with seawater on top of me. So that was very interesting. And there is another tradition in the submarine arm which we follow, that anytime a youngster or a new person comes on board, to bed him into the submarine arm. So let's say you dive from 0 to 30 meters. So at 30 meters, you'll be given a pitcher of water, something like a beer mug. And drinking salt water is really awesome, but you have to finish it in one go. And with every depth, as you keep going down, you are bedded into the submarine arms tradition of having the salt water, which is quite a tough tradition.
Okay. I'm just a little curious. So how was the marine life for the submariners?
I think it was extremely interesting. You did not have much of time to think about anything else because life on a submarine keeps you extremely busy. There is shortage of crew to do the tasks. The crew is multitasked. So you will find that there are cooks in the submarine who are operating the valves, who are operating some machinery, who are doing some other task also. So there is no one on the submarine who is trained for a particular trade. Whilst you may be having a particular trade as your primary duty, but everyone on board the submarine does at least 2 or 3 tasks. Secondly, the workload per person on submarine compared to other branches of the Navy, in my opinion, is a little more. So almost 15 to 16 hours in a day whilst you are at sea. Everyone is quite busy, engaged with operations or things which are happening around you. Your attention is completely devoted to that. And you don't sleep in one go. As you are aware that in the Navy we follow watch system, right? So you don't sleep in one go. So basically if you get to sleep for 5-6 hours in a day, and if you get to sleep for 3 to 4 hours in one go, I think it's a great achievement for a submariner. Then the interesting thing is that being in a submarine, and we all Indian loves our tadka and fried stuff. So in a submarine, since it is a closed atmosphere, you can't do any frying. You can't make food, for example, tadkas or something where the fumes or the smells will come out because it stays, right? So on the older generation of submarines, where the facilities were far and few, we used to survive largely on rice, bread, and a lot of tinned stuff. But the newer generation of submarines have got far better facilities. So we are able to sever some of the traditional stuff also whilst we are at sea.
That's interesting, so much to learn, So how do submariners communicate with their families while they're at sea?
The short answer is we don't communicate with our families. In fact, once you are underwater, you are completely cut off from radio frequency communications. You cannot communicate with anyone without that. So the only communication that we maintain is the official communications with our naval base, and there is no person on board who communicates with his families.
Okay. So, what are some of the significant challenges that submariners face while on long missions underwater?
When you're in a long mission underwater, I think the first challenge which you face is um, that you are staying in an artificial atmosphere, right? So, as you're aware that when we breathe, we generate carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide goes out in the atmosphere and increases. And if you are in a closed atmosphere, your oxygen also depletes, right? So if you are in an atmosphere where the carbon dioxide increases and the oxygen depletes, uh, you start feeling dizzy after some time, after certain percentages. Of course, in the submarines, you have equipment which generates oxygen to maintain the level within the specified limits, and also to scrub the carbon dioxide out of that atmosphere. But it happens, it is not that, it is not like free atmosphere where you're breathing that. So there is a certain percentage where you go down to, which is acceptable to the human body. But so if you are exposed to that cycling for a long time, it reduces your stamina. Second is that you're not exposed to sunlight. You are in a tube, you're not exposed to sunlight. Human beings are designed to operate with sunlight. So on a prolonged, when you come back from a prolonged deployment, and there are opportunities for undertaking exercise in a submarine are also far and few and limited. So imagine after maybe a 15-day plus sortie, when you come out, you will find that your stamina has gone down. You are not as fit or agile as you were. But the good part is that the human body regains its balance, or so to say, the stamina within a very short time. So within 2-3 days after exposure to the sunlight, with a bit of exercise and exposure to the atmosphere, you come back to your normal. So that's one big challenge. Second is that, as I told, that unlike a surface ship man, you do not take bath because you don't have the luxury of taking bath every day. So in the submarines, we wear a special clothing. It is called disposable clothing. So that means it is chemically treated. It's something like a vest and a shorts. So you wear that clothing, and every third or fourth day, you change that disposable clothing, right? So you just basically throw it off. So that's why it's called disposable. And that's the day, if you're lucky in the modern submarines, you get to take a bath, right? Waste generation is a very big issue in a submarine, because whatever waste you generate, you can't throw it at sea, you will get detected. So when we are in areas of high surveillance, we actually try to generate minimum waste. You are even counting that if you're cutting a gobi, that how many dentals are there or something. So we actually pre-prepare a lot of meal sets in harbor. You'll find that before the submarine goes to sea, for 1 or 2 days before that, the cooks are busy ashore in our this thing, who are chopping the vegetables, making tadkas, and they put them in small deep freeze packets, and that's what they use when they are on the submarines. So that minimum waste is generated. And a lot of times what happens is that even the waste which is generated, we refreeze it back, okay, so that it is not required to be thrown out. And also we use water very conservatively, because whatever water you use for your sanitary purposes or otherwise, you have to pump it out to sea. And when you pump it out to sea, there is a chance if it floats up, you can get detected. So there are holding tanks in the submarine. So there is a X amount of capacity in that. So you have to last out. So in the enemy area, maybe in the middle of the night, you'll do that, or you'll do it at some depth, or you'll hold it out. So those are challenges of day-to-day living in a submarine.
It's almost like similar to what astronauts face in space.
Absolutely. I would say that the most complex machine that the human beings have ever made is a submarine, and then probably comes a space shuttle or maybe a space station. Because the difference between life and death in a submarine is only a few seconds. Because as you're aware that we are sitting here in atmosphere, our body is having 1 kg per centimeter square atmospheric pressure. But with every 10 meters you go down, it increases by 1 kg. So if you're at 10 meters depth in water, it is 2 kgs per centimeter square, right? So that's the pressure on a submarine's hull. Whilst you are inside the submarine is fine, but if it were to go beyond its design depth, first of all, the submarine goes out of control and everyone on board will get crushed. So that's very important there.
Okay. So talking about a cyber defense agency, so as like the first DG of the agency, what are the primary objectives for India in protecting the national cybersecurity interests?
So I think, with the rapid digitization of our societal processes, as you're aware, India is today a very large economy. We are aspiring to be the third largest economy in the world. We consider ourselves as the IT capital of the world. And with the digital Bharat mission and proliferation of IT in India, to ease and make life better, our government and our private industry has in a very big way adopted the IT industry, so to say. And wherever there is wealth, the thieves will come automatically. So what has happened is that whilst people have become very good at using the IT, they are not cyber aware. So that's why you find that the incident of cybercrime in India has gone up very high. So every day you find blue darts come, or you find gangsters from Cambodia, Vietnam, and many other countries trying to corner Indians. A lot of people fall prey to this crime, which is largely financial in nature. Then you have, for the industry, you have ransomware kind of gangs who operate ransomware as a service. So basically, again, the motivation is either stealing the data or trying to make money. So that is there. So a lot of people have suddenly started using IT and IT services, but they are not cyber aware. And that is leading to a lot of problems because there are these bad people who are trying to get into that. So is the case with the military. Military is also a very big user of IT, and we have benefited a lot. So whether it is a ship or a submarine or a tank or a modern artillery piece or a fighter aircraft or even a civil airliner, it is essentially a system of systems, right? So there is huge proliferation of IT in every aspect of it. And if you are not careful, you will find that there would be a malfunction in its working. For a common man to understand, I think India has made this UPI system. We've got almost 1 billion mobile phones in this country. Everyone is used to digital payments. Everyone is used to using the UPI system. And we've been beneficiaries of the so-called geo effect, where we become probably the largest per capita users of data in the world, right? So with all this, it is essential to keep the cyberspace safe. And I think as far as the Defense Cyber Agency is concerned, we were started in 2019. And our primary objective is to ensure that the military use of IT space is safeguarded. And we've been working in that field to the best of our ability.
So moving to the next question. So In what ways has the global technology changed the life and work of submariners in recent years, sir?
Okay, so coming back to my primary profession of submarines, see, with the march of technology, what has happened is that we have essentially two types of submarines in the world. So you have the nuclear propelled submarines, which tend to be larger because the size of the reactor is larger. Then you have the smaller, relatively smaller conventional submarines. So when I say a conventionally powered submarines, it is usually powered by diesel generators, and it has got battery banks, and those battery banks have a finite amount of capacity to store. It's more like a EV. We've started seeing the EVs. So you plug in an external source of electricity to charge the batteries, and then the EV goes 400 kilometers, 500 kilometers as long as the charge is there. In the submarine, there is an IC engine which is there to charge the batteries, and then it goes on a charge like that. So there is no external source like that, right? A nuclear propelled submarine has got, in a way, unlimited endurance because there is power available all the time. So conventional submarines were limited by the endurance of the battery charge, right? So whether it was 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, depending on the usage and this thing, but it was limited. And after that, you had to snorkel, right, to recharge the batteries. And when you're snorkeling or when you're recharging the batteries, that's the time you're generating a lot of heat signature. We call thermal signature. You are close to the surface. You have a radar signature and you have a wake signature. And that is the time when a submarine is most vulnerable to detection by the enemy. In the last 2 decades, the air-independent propulsion technologies have fructified, which have drastically enhanced the range of conventional submarines. So you have the fuel cell technology. So in that, essentially what happens is that hydrogen is generated in the submarine. Either you store the hydrogen in the pure form, or you do a reformation process, either using ethanol or methanol or any other means, where you generate hydrogen, right? And then you actually mixed, you take cryogenic oxygen with you, and you mix hydrogen and oxygen in a fuel cell. And the end product is water. Like you've seen now, the hydrogen fueled buses are running on Delhi's roads. So they use hydrogen as a fuel, and oxygen is available and in a fuel cell, and the end product is water. But it generates electricity. So it can enhance your endurance very, very significantly. So from 4 days, maybe you can extend it to 14 days to 21 days, like that. So that has been a great recent technology. Second is the stealth technologies. So how do you detect a submarine? Because it is underwater, how do you detect it? So you can detect it based on its acoustic signature, because underwater the acoustics are very important. So the amount of noise it generates. So the noise is generated in a submarine by the running machinery, because you have to keep the machinery running. Then you have noise generated because of the propulsion. And then there is a hydrodynamic noise which is generated when the submarine moves through water, which is the water flow around it, right? So these are the primary 3 sources of noise. Then since submarine has ferromagnetic materials, it is also prone to detection by magnetic means. Then you have, if you are projecting something from the submarine outside the water surface, it is prone to detection by radars. When you are using an active sonar, it sends a beam of sound, very similar to a radar where you send a beam of RF energy and it bounces back. So we call it a sonar, active sonar. So since it has got a finite amount of surface, or the acoustic cross section as we call it, so it will give a ping back. So you can be detected by that. then there are many other newer technologies by which you can be detected, or the fields which a submarine generates. So essentially, a lot of progress has happened both ways. That means there has been a lot of technological progress to quieten this or dampen these signatures, right? So that your detection is delayed or prevented. Second is that even the sensors which are available with the enemy have become far more sensitive, and they are capable of detecting you at longer ranges or even fainter voices, right? So that has been a very big change in the technology in addition to this.
Okay, talking about advancement of technologies, like you mentioned, I just want to know, like, how do emerging technologies today, like the quantum, AI, machine learning, etc., enhance the capabilities of global modern submarines compared to the traditional ones, what we had earlier?
Okay, so talking of all this, uh, as far as quantum is concerned, I think quantum technology per se is still in the lab floor. It has not leapfrogged to the commercial or operationalized floors, right? So in quantum, when we talk, there are many technologies. So you have quantum communications, you have quantum key distribution, you have quantum random number generation, quantum cryptography, and of course you have quantum computing. So I think the only technology out of this which has been productionalized, so to say, is to a certain extent the quantum random number generation, quantum key distribution, and quantum cryptography to a certain level. But it's not that it has proliferated to a very large thing. It is still in its infancy. Quantum computing, to the best of my knowledge, is still on the lab floor. It has not gone commercial in a big way, right? As far as AI and ML are concerned, or big data analytics, I think these are technologies which are under development and have been productionalized to a large extent. So they are, a submarine is using a lot of high-tech electronics and a massive amount of computing. So you have the sonars. Now the challenge in a sonar is that you are picking up some target, right? So either you're picking up a frequency, a tonal, or you're picking up a broadband signature of a submarine, or a target, so to say. Now, till now, the operator with his experience or with some rudimentary techniques used to do the analysis and say, okay, this is a submarine or this is enemy ship or something. Now, AI and ML technologies can be very, very effectively leveraged for target identification. When you are in a tactical and an operational scenario, human beings have limited capacity to sort of look at huge data inflow. So the AI decision support system, AI and ML, based decision support systems can help you in making decisions. There is a huge amount of machinery which is operating on board 24/7. The machinery is designed to operate within certain parameters, design parameters. Now, of course, there are systems on board which will generate an alarm when something is going wrong. But predictive analysis of a fault coming or finding the fault before it occurs, or helping you in defect investigation or defect rectification at sea, is something where AI can be extremely useful to you, right?
Okay, can you shed more light on AI in operational efficiency of submarines? Because today is like the age of AI. Everyone's talking about it, and there's been a drastic advancement of the technology. So, can you shed more light on it, sir?
See, there can be a huge plethora of AI-enabled applications which a submarine can use. And I just spoke, I think, the first place where I would deploy AI would be for target identification. That is the most challenging thing, which you are not depending on a human being, you are depending on AI to assist you from a huge bank of target signatures. You are able to identify that this is that particular target, right, or generate a near match for that. So it happens for Submarine has acoustic sensors. Submarine has electronic intelligence sensors. It has got signal intelligence sensors, communication intelligence sensors. So the matches which have to be generated can be beautiful in that. Second is, as far as the submarine is concerned, in the running, you are more interested in anomaly detection. So I don't want to tackle a machinery when it breaks down, right? Because so every machinery, when it starts deteriorating, it starts giving you some signals. For example, human body, right? So before, let's say you come to a point where you have some major catastrophe with your body, it will start giving you some hint. You'll have some pain somewhere or some itching somewhere or something like that. So AI can help us in anomaly detection in a very big way.
Okay. So, talking about the cyber preparedness for India today, so what are the key components involved in this cyber preparedness for the country?
I think you have to have a robust ecosystem. The first pillar of cyber preparedness should be that we have to create a mass awareness about cyber issues. So, whilst we teach a lot of IT, are we making people cyber aware? So, I think it should be compulsory part of curriculum in starting from primary education. So, your cyber awareness lectures, cyber and information awareness lectures should be taken as part of your school curriculum. It should also be part of your college curriculum. Presently, most of our institutions are focused on traditional IT. You have sectors like telecom, hardware, and all that kind of things. But it's only very recently, in the last 5 to 6 years, that our universities have started offering focused cyber courses. And the field of cyber is very, very huge. So you have many disciplines. So cyber coupled with future technologies, whether it is AI, machine learning, whether it is NLP, whether it is talking about 5G or 6G, or the quantum technologies. I think these missions have been launched by the country in the last 5 to 10 years. We need to focus more and more on that. Second is that, today we are victims of a lot of cyber attacks or issues in the world because most of the systems, when they were designed for use by a good man. They are functionally very good, but they were not designed with cybersecurity in mind. Now it's our opportunity as India that we make a robust cyber and IT ecosystem in the country. So I think we need to come out with Indian products. Presently, we do not have indigenous operating systems. So whether it is a laptop operating system or a PC operating system or a mobile operating system or even antivirus for that matter. So we don't have homegrown antiviruses or homegrown operating systems or the basic softwares. We are still dependent on foreign countries. So one is that in terms of like what we have seen in the Ukraine war, if we have a situation, the OEM countries can deny you the technology or they can deny you the critical safety updates. Secondly, the backdoors would be available with the OEM company, which could be exploited. But when we have our indigenous ecosystems, it will be a different ballgame. So we have to work for a robust indigenous system, which is there in our country. So we've been working towards that in a big way. As far as the national cyber system is concerned, we have multiple agencies in the country. because it's all grown up in a legacy way. So the government of India is trying to synergize the working of these agencies so that with little resources we can produce better outputs and outcomes. And when we synergize the effort, your threat intel sharing or your way of working, you avoid duplication and your way of working becomes better. So I think we have to concentrate on all these three things in the future, and life will be much better from this point of view.
I was coming to that. So, like, I think being self-reliant for any country is, necessity, because that's the way a country can progress further. Without that,
Absolutely.
any country happens to depend on other countries, and it's like it's again a problem again.
Yes.
In terms of all aspects, all areas such as agriculture or defense, etc. So, moving on to the next one, in terms of India's role in Indian Ocean region. So, the country has been playing a major role, for a long time, for a very long time indeed. So, how can India safeguard the Indian Ocean region with regard to maritime cybersecurity and sea pirates as well?
We are very uniquely positioned, whilst we have huge land borders. But essentially, we are an island country, and that's how our geography is. So, if you look at it from the southernmost tip of India till almost Antarctica, there is nothing, right? And we are the only country in the world where we have an ocean named against our own country. We are at a great maritime advantage. We sit in the center of the Indian Ocean, right? We have a huge coastline which is in excess of 7,000 kilometers. We've got island territories in Andaman and Nicobar which stretch for almost 600-700 kilometers, which are 800 kilometers from our mainland towards the east. And on the west coast, we have the Lakshadweep group of islands, right? Today, a very significant part of our trade in terms of volume and in terms of value is carried over the sea. We are a large trading nation, as you're aware. We import a lot, we export a lot, we are dependent on that. The geography to the north is such that we have the great Himalayan range. And while there are passes, but because of the difficulty of the terrain, there aren't viable routes of communication. We don't have very friendly neighbors all around us around our land borders, except for certain countries.
That's a major challenge.
Right. So essentially, we are an island nation. India has developed a very formidable capability in its navy. We have always believed in the concept of Sagar.
Yes.
As our Honorable Prime Minister has said. So we want to basically work for betterment of all our maritime constituents and neighbors, as we say. So we are in the process of capacity building of our neighbors, and we have in a way emerged as regional net security providers in our country. So there are many challenges of piracy. So whether it was off Aden, whether it was off Somalia, you are aware that for many years, Indian Navy has been constantly deploying its ships in those areas to assure the mariners that the risk would be mitigated. And we have successfully foiled many attacks by the pirates, both on Indian and foreign ships. So that's something which is ongoing. So the risk has been mitigated to a large extent. And no external seaborne attack has taken place on our country. And that has been possible because of our maritime forces and alertness, right? So this is where we are. We are also in the process of the next frontier for the humankind would be the blue economy, as they call it, right? You are aware that a very large portion of the oil and gas which we are having in our country, for which we are critically dependent, is taken out from the offshore fields, whether it is the Bombay High or the western offshore fields or the eastern offshore fields. So that's a significant amount of investment we have there. And also our energy supplies which come from abroad come by way of tankers, and they come to coastal areas. The geography of coastal areas is such, and the economy is such, that you will find that a very large portion of our habitation is around the coastal areas. And that is also the place where you have a huge amount of economic or industrial clusters, right? So that's why that maritime economy is important. In the future, when we run short of critical minerals on land, you are aware that seabed has got a lot of nodules which are very, very mineral rich. So we would be, we've already started there, and we will be commercially exploiting those resources. As far as our food is concerned, we are dependent on the marine animals to a large extent. So there is a lot of fisheries activity which happens at sea. And we also have plans to exploit the deeper regions for more oil and gas in the future. So because of a sum total of all these factors, I think the blue economy is the future for the country.
Okay. So talking about the private sector collaboration, so what do you think that, how do you think that the collaboration between the private sector and the government agencies could strengthen in terms of cybersecurity frameworks?
See, cyberspace is a virtual domain where you cannot segregate that this is private space or this is government space or this is defense cyberspace or something. It's a wide common where everyone is plugged in, right? If you look at advanced countries in cyber or IT, the innovation has largely been championed by private players. So when we talk of America, now you have the big tech like Google, you have Amazon, you have Palo Altos, you have FireEye, and large companies like that. And their products is something which even the government uses, right? So I think the government should encourage the private cybersecurity industry in India to innovate, because they are cycled to innovate. Government should provide the right kind of policies and the atmosphere for this innovation to happen. So whether it is building hardware solutions, whether it is building software solutions, I think the private companies can play a very big role. Second is that government also has to give them assured sense of business, because no company can survive commercially unless there is some assured business which is given to them. For example, if you look at China, now in China, of course, they've got a different socio-political model than ours. China very successfully shifted from Western social media or Western applications to their homegrown applications. So if someone was using WhatsApp, they got an equivalent to WhatsApp. Someone was using Facebook or Instagram, they've got an equivalent to that. So even the browser, even the antivirus. So they've got a full chain of tools which is homegrown, right? Unfortunately in India, we have a large, in fact, we are the largest population in the world, and we are very social media savvy people. We are the largest customers of Western social media, right? We don't have, absolutely. So we don't have any homegrown thing. Now, when you are using something which is not homegrown, especially in the social media domain, one is that service can be denied to you. Second is that the algorithms can be modified or manipulated when it is required for you. And thirdly, all the data is flowing from your shores to the servers or the data centers of those countries where those data is located, right? So your data is going out to them for free. A very stark thing is that we all use applications. All of us use email services. Can you tell me that is there a single commercial email provider in India for the common man? There is not. So we all use Gmails and the Yahoos, right? So at the common man level, there is not a single email service provider. And all these email services for the common man are point-to-point encrypted. Yes. You understand that? So that means all my data, which I use extensively on the email, my bank statements and all, is available in plain language to the Googles of the world, right? And they have been exploiting that data. So unless this ecosystem works, so like we make a bridge or we make a metro line, it is an infrastructure. Such things may not be viable commercially, but the government considers viability gap funding for this because they are for common good. So I think time has come when the digital public infrastructure is created by the government, and either it is funded or it is government has a policy of viability gap funding. For example, we all use the UPI ecosystem, which is operated by the National Payments Corporation of India. There is a charge being incurred, when we do a transaction. It doesn't come for free. Yes. But the fact is that today it's free for the common man. Yes. So the government is giving funding to it, right? So if it can be given for that, why can't it be extended to the other spheres? As a matter of policy is something which I think our government should consider.
Okay. So coming to the end of the podcast, to conclude with, so we have the last question. What kind of suggestions would you like to give for CyberPeace in enhancing cybersecurity for India?
Well, I just got a briefing of the wide range of things which you do. And I think today the biggest thing is that we must create mass awareness in our youth and in our population about the cyber issues. And I'm aware that you're doing a good job in that. So whether it is training the school children, conducting some workshops or lectures for them, whether it is training the college people, whether it is going into, let's say, the veterans group. Of late, you find that a lot of senior sailors have got conned because they've started using technology, but they're not very IT or cyber savvy. So they get conned very easily. So going to the old or the veteran communities and teaching them the basics is very important. Youth today are impressionable people, right? Now, we've seen that social media, of course, is very good, but it can also be used as a toolkit, as a tool by vested interests to fan certain narratives, right? So, today the attention span of youth is very short, and they tend to get influenced by these narratives. So, how does one find out that he is being manipulated? So that he goes in the right direction and doesn't go in the wrong direction. So I think that's also very important. You're doing a good job for international diplomacy initiatives. We have a lot of countries who are similarly placed or maybe placed below us in terms of cyber preparedness index. And I think in terms of empowerment, capacity building of our friendly foreign countries, you can play a very big role in creating mass awareness and capacity building of their institutions. You can also participate in a lot of R&D initiatives in collaboration with your peer groups, organize seminars, workshops, which empower people to discuss on issues which bother the cyber community, and also to get people together to discuss on latest trends in technology, which is always a good idea.
I'm sure the research wing has been doing very well.
Yes. Then, we have, if you compare ourselves with certain Western nations, You know about the EU GDPR laws and all that. Then you can see the example of China, which has got very robust laws as far as data privacy is concerned, or data sovereignty is concerned, or data localization is concerned. So we can actually do a study of the laws, regulations which is there in the ecosystem. Because unless you create a set of laws or enough deterrence for the wrong man to do a thing, people will not put money into investing in people process technology for safeguarding the data or something. So I think that policy research part, which I'm brief that you're also into the policy research part, first is to find out that which policy would be suitable from our context, and advocating that policy to the people who matter in the decision-making chain will be a very good idea for CyberPeace to do.
That's great to know. So it was great having you on the show, sir. So today I feel that the significance of cyber defense agency across the world, cannot be overstated. So it includes even India. So cyber threats, in the digital age has been constantly evolving and has become more sophisticated. So I'm sure a cyber defense agency like India will play a vital role in safeguarding against potential threats and in ensuring the overall security of the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure being interviewed by you. Thank you.